Aloha all. Today I'm going to be talking about Tomb Raider. So to start off, I'm just going to tell you flat out, while I enjoy the new Tomb Raider, it doesn't feel like Tomb Raider to me, or rather I should say, it doesn't feel like Lara Croft to me. It feels like Lana Croft. Which is not a bad thing, but if you had told me that the new Tomb Raider was the granddaughter of Lara Croft, I could 100% believe you. I think that would seem like a very reasonable assessment. Heck, you could even say it's her daughter. You know, I think the granddaughter thing is a more interesting idea, but that's just me, you know. Because fundamentally, they are two very different characters. Well, Lara Croft from the originals was this kind of archetypal, highly acrobatic, very skilled, and mature. Lana Croft is very much kind of this early college student with a high amount of ambition and a low amount of sense. I think that develops over the course of the 3 games that she's in, especially by the second one, because I haven't played the third one. But I will admit that no matter how I look at it, I just don't enjoy Lana Croft as much as I enjoy Lara Croft. Lara Croft used her sensuality to manipulate some of her foes around her. At the same time, it was more gamey, in my opinion. But that means to me that a lot of what she could do in her video games, they're not realistic. And that's kind of why I like it. Like, I don't expect someone to be doing backflips and somersaults in the middle of gun combat, but it's fun. And I think that was the fundamental difference in design philosophy between these 2 iterations. It was the original Lara Croft had a lot more fun and playfulness to it, versus the new one, which very much wanted to have those compelling storylines, which nothing wrong with that. You're just not getting, in my opinion, as much enjoyment. Now, I do often replay the newer ones because they have a lot better graphics and they have a lot more tighter mechanics, I'll say. But even with that, I still fundamentally more in the kind of gung fu or gun fu of the originals. Now, to give you an idea of where I am at in the games, I started playing with Tomb Raider Legends. That was my first one I ever played, because I got like a free download of it or something way back in the day. And so I tried to play through it. Now, I didn't beat it the first time, and the free version basically disappeared before I could finish it. But I bought it later after that. And yeah, I really enjoy Tomb Raider Legends. I think it had a decent story. I liked a lot of the mechanics in it. I mean, it obviously has a lot of flaws. After I played Anniversary, I just realized how much I kind of dislike how Lara Croft just kind of goes around gunning through waves and waves of people. I definitely prefer that more Lara versus the environment feel versus Lara versus the system feel. But that being said, I can enjoy either way. I definitely prefer the older games for their puzzles. Like, Tomb Raider Anniversary was my first look into the original Tomb Raider. I own the original Tomb Raider. I was a child and never could get past the first level. So for me, I really enjoyed Tomb Raider Anniversary. The layouts, the level design, the mechanics, all of it was just so much fun. And I like the fact that basically the only enemies you fight for pretty much the whole game are like bats and wolves and a couple bears. You know? That to me was great. It's the most enjoyable aspects of all of it. I'll be honest, that was something I kind of missed out with the new Tomb Raider. I felt that Lara Croft's gameplay, though good, very good, especially with the bow and stuff, it just felt too focused on fighting the system. You know, you're not uncovering these cool locations, you are fighting the system. And I don't like that. It's boring to me. Yeah, I go into another building and somehow 50 more guys are in this building and I can just basically wade through them with a machine gun, perfectly content. It's just absolute boredom for me. One thing I do want to add though is that I really liked the bow, and I liked somewhat the ability to customize your weapon designs in the upgraded version, in the newer series. And for me, it's nice, but my biggest issue, I think for me, is New Tomb Raider felt far too similar to Uncharted, only with less puzzles. Which, to me, I feel that Tomb Raider should have been, like, it should be iconic for its puzzles. Like, sure, Lara Croft is great, you know, but Tomb Raider was always revolving around the puzzles, from my memory at least. Maybe it's just because I personally really enjoyed Anniversary, and I feel that the puzzle designs in that game just far outweigh so much other stuff. I don't know, they were trying with the narrative to make it seem like this was hard for her. This was effort. Because the first moment she kills a guy, she's, you know, crying and upset. But like every other reviewer has already stated, 2 seconds later, she has to go ahead and shoot through like 20 other guys. And it's not like you can't try to stealth your way through those, but there are going to be points where you just can't stealth. I think those non-stealth segments to me, though, are kind of what I don't like about the new game. Don't get me wrong, like I said, I like the weapons, I like the tactics that you gain access to, but it definitely feels more like just a basic action game. And I believe that this is also what a lot of people said about Tomb Raider Legend, was that it felt like Tomb Raider Legend was just a generic action game. And yeah, it's not improbable. I enjoyed Tomb Raider Legend only because it's the first Tomb Raider that I really was able to get into. That being said though, after playing Anniversary, you definitely get a feel that Lara Croft really shouldn't be this character running through crowds of people gunning everybody down. She should be kind of this reserved killer, if that makes sense. She should be someone who is not afraid to kill, but reluctant to. And like just today, I got to do a little bit of research into Tomb Raider 2. And the first guy she comes across that she would be killing ends up taking his own life. And she's even standing there like, you know, she's ready to do this if need be, but he ends up doing it first. Which I think is kind of the idea that I prefer about her. I like that idea that she's not unwilling to do so, but she is reluctant to do so. And she should always maintain this reluctancy with human life. I think, you know, it's one thing with the supernatural entities or with the animals that are trying to eat her. I understand. And I wish that they would give you more options or abilities to kind of be charming. After all, the original Lara Croft was a very charming individual. She had a way with words. She definitely took command of a room whenever she kind of walked in there. And that was something that I really admired about her personality. The new one, the one that I have called Lana Croft, she literally just feels like a teenager who doesn't really know much of what she's doing. Like, sure, she studies history, but that's like the extent of her knowledge. Oh yeah, I know about this thing. Okay, cool. Well, how are you with people? Well, people? I just shoot them all in the head. That sounds about right for Lara Croft. That right there is kind of my fundamental separation, really. Well, the new Tomb Raider sought to have this competitive narrative story of a young girl growing up to become the Tomb Raider. I prefer playing as the Tomb Raider. The lady who literally goes into tombs, raids them, whether she be just a simple treasure hunter, whether it's a mark of pride. She has all these skills and talents that make her someone special and unique. Oh, you were raised on horses, guns, bows and arrows. You did gymnastics growing up. She's definitely vastly more of an acrobat than a fighter. That's why she uses the guns. And I like the idea of her using two guns, because, come on, that just makes you more badass. I'm sorry. Especially when I saw a clip out there somewhere of an actual little girl, like with her dad or whatever, and he was showing her how to fire off two guns at the same time. You know, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, I'm sorry. Let's just say this is a part 1 video, because I'm sure I have more to talk about, but I'll have to come back a little bit later once I have more complete ideas. Alright, can I get a green light here, please? Thank you. And Cobra Commander. Let's see here. Where am I gonna go next? When you face a wall of cars, there's only one way to go. I'm pretty sure someone in the comments will write, in between.